Yes, President Donald Trump has drawn criticism for referring to coronavirus in characteristic style.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
Well, whether or not you would deem his remarks to be racist, many feel that they serve to fuel racism. But having said that, there are many in the East Asian community who feel that that was already there. We've got with us artist and lecturer Frank To. Morning, Frank.
Hi there.
Hi. Yeah, good, thanks, Frank. And Edward Sang from the Association of Chinese Entrepreneurs. Hi there, Edward.
Good morning.
Good morning. Gosh, I can feel in your voices you're both feeling pretty sober this morning, yeah?
Well, I'm in lockdown at the moment because I'm actually teaching remotely because of the whole coronavirus. So I'm just in the preparation of actually doing online teaching.
Right.
Because a lot of the universities and the colleges and schools will be closing from this Friday coming.
Right.
So we're just preparing to do the online teaching material for the foreseeable future.
Right. Is that at what level is that at, Frank?
I teach right across the level from Nat 4, Nat 5 to up to degree level.
Okay.
So it's more or less trying to get that sorted. But University of the Highlands and the Islands have always been pride itself in doing remote online teaching anyway, so it's nothing brand new to us, but we're just buckling down the hatches, as we call it, just for the storm ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, I imagine a lot of teaching colleagues will be looking to people like you for advice if you're more experienced in that kind of remote learning. Edward, what kind of business are you in?
I'm a consultant for various companies, matching businesses between China and the UK.
Right, okay. Your response to Mr. Trump's comments?
To be honest, I actually personally find that insulting.
Whoops.
Okay.
Have you got a funny ringtone?
Not me.
Somebody's got to fess up to that ringtone.
No, I personally think that Trump's remark is extremely offensive to the Chinese community and also to the Chinese international community, because you cannot categorize or objectify a human being with a virus or something that's subhuman, because the way he's treating, the way he's regarding the Chinese, I can't see it any different from the racism that the early Chinese migrants suffered when they entered America as manual labor. So for me, the way he's talking about it, even though he says indirectly not racism, it will have an impact both socially and economically.
Well, what are you feeling at the moment, Frank? I mean, are you feeling, a sense of, I don't know want to put a word on it, an uneasy feeling, or you can put it stronger if you like?
Well, to be honest, if I was being really strong in my feelings about this whole thing, because I have actually seen a lot of my friends, especially in England, who have been having difficult issues, and also I've seen Chinese businesses, especially my mother's business, dropping. I'm actually, with the British government as a whole, I'm actually quite ashamed to call myself British, because they're not doing enough to actually help the Chinese communities, or even British-born Chinese. I'm a British-born Chinese. I was born in Britain. I was born part of the Commonwealth. I'm proud to say that I have my nationality is British, but at the moment I feel ashamed because I don't think the current Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, is actually addressing the issue at all. And I've even seen a tweet this morning by Nigel Farage, which I've actually harshly responded that it's China's fault, which I'm thinking...
Really? I haven't seen that, Frank, I have to say.
Well, I've actually seen that. I've actually responded to Nigel Farage's tweet that, let's put it this way, when the mad cow disease came out in the early 2000s, we didn't exactly stigmatise the British in any possible way. But I also have to say that I'm more aligned with what Nicola Sturgeon, the SNP, have actually mentioned, that she would not, her and the government and the country of Scotland as a whole will not tolerate racism during the time of the coronavirus, which actually gives some reassurance and confidence in me and also the Chinese communities in Scotland.
Yeah, I think she did explicitly state that there was no correlation or no connection to be made. But you said there, Frank, that friends of yours, are suffering negative impacts because of a kind of, would you call it an suspicious feeling?
Well, basically, I had a friend who went on who was going to work in London, and she was travelling in Oxford Circus, the same area where that young Singapore man got severely beaten by two teenagers. When she went on the bus, two teenage girls made a shriek and say, "Don't feck me." And now there's this whole thing about if you go near a Chinese person, it's almost like, or anyone Oriental, it seems that we're the boogeyman. Because last week, like 2 weeks ago, there was a racist attack against Chinese students at Glasgow University at the Barton Road. And it was only really announced yesterday by the BBC, but the incident happened on the 5th of March. And now, with Chinese people, Chinese students who are coming over paying extortionate fees, and also they're contributing, and also Chinese communities contribute to the economy, a lot of them do not feel safe. And it's come to the point where even young Chinese students are hiring, if they can't get on a plane back to China or Hong Kong or whatever, they're getting their families to get private jets to fly them back because they feel more safer back in their homeland than being in Britain, which we encourage, which we are supposedly encouraging multicultural diversity. But unfortunately, during the past 2 months, that's not been the case. And that's the reason why I made that, as you've probably seen, the tweet and the social media posts about how I'm Chinese, but I'm not a virus.
Yeah. Edward, what stories are you hearing from members of the Entrepreneurs Association?
What I'd like to talk about would be what you started with in terms of the American president, when he mentioned that's called the China virus. A lot of things that Frank was saying, I agree with, but on the same token, you do have what's known as the Spanish flu. So if people are referring to it as a Chinese flu in that respect, then I can accept that. But what it does do is create a situation for some of the population in the world to actually identify and use it as a racial aspect. So that's one thing I would to make clear. In terms of what's happened recently, okay, this started in China back in January. Okay, I was actually in China at the time. On the 25th of January, China unprecedentedly closed down most of its major sites, including the Imperial Palace Museum and so on. Now, in the eyes of the world, that was unheard of. No, and then you heard about the locking down of cities. Back then, everybody's attitude towards it was, "Wow, how can they do this?" No, autocratic country, communist country, wasn't a democratic country. But now we see this kind of model being followed everywhere. So,
it's seen as governments around the world now as a necessary measure to try and contain it. I'm just wondering, Edward, though, about the effect on businesses, on Chinese businesses here.
Yes, I was coming to that. For the Chinese businesses here, they're talking about bars and restaurants being closed down now and how people's livelihoods are going out of business. Now, this has already started over several weeks ago, back to January, where the Chinese businesses have been really badly affected. I personally went to the Racial Equality Councils to mention this. And in fact, there's only 3 racial equality councils in Scotland: West Rec, East Lothian and Fife. I know Hansel and Malik relatively well, been friends for many years, and the advice was, put it down and don't talk too much about it, because it will affect businesses. What has happened is that the Chinese businesses, a lot of restaurants, actually closed now. This is before the Prime Minister requested. The business has been suffering so badly, there's no relief, nothing at all, but they just went on. But now, with the official announcements and so on, well, if you look at Glasgow or Edinburgh, most of the big ones, or big restaurants as well, they were closed ages ago. I mean, Chinese ones. So look how that affects the other stereotyping carriers and so on. They've been decimated. Now, the other economies that have been affected are, even in my work, people that are relying on Chinese contracts and so on to be signed with British companies, well, they can't do them anymore because of the travel restrictions. Not just restaurants and the catering. It's affecting everything.
I know. These are... Yeah, I mean, I know I feel very cliched now and very trite that I keep saying, you know, these are unprecedented times, these are tough times, you know, we're going to overuse that language. I think we all accept that, but if, you know, a particular group of people are being stigmatised or, you know, pinpointed for you know, abusive language or treatment or whatever because of some feeling that there is a cultural relationship with this virus, that's something that we have to be concerned about. Additionally, I think kind of mature voices around the world would absolutely agree that that is unacceptable. Edward and Frank, thank you very much indeed. All the very best to you. We're